Hello, good afternoon. This is the last session, that's the good news. But the bad news is we are still 40 minutes away from dinner. So before I begin, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists, Corinne, s'il vous plaît, Luc, Andre, and Olivier, please. So we have real practitioners over here who are going to share with us. So when we were discussing, we wanted to prepare for this panel, so we said, let's keep the examples very real. Let's make sure everything is down to ground level. So before I begin, thank you. Before I begin, are we going to pass one mic or are we having more mics? So this is the shared economy. So we have, and this one also works. So just for definition, I just thought we should be all on the same page as definitions are concerned. So whether it's co-innovation or distributed innovation or open innovation. We're going to use all of these very interchangeably for definition purposes. But before I begin, I just thought I'll share with you one very interesting story. So there was a group of innovators in an organization, and they were given a problem. And the problem was, we will give you $100,000. And this is a true story. It's a case study. And we need you to develop a sensor that allows you to measure at pollution levels at sea at 100 ppm. So they were having a problem with sea and pollutions, and they said, how can you measure it at 100 ppm? So they tried for a week, and they came up with a lot of new technologies, sensor technologies and communication technologies, and they were not getting anywhere after 3 or 4 weeks, when one of them suggested that, we are all technical people here, software, hardware, and all engineers here. Do we need a marine biologist to be a part of the team? And they said, why do we need a marine biologist? Because this is a technical problem. Well, nevertheless, they got a marine biologist to join as a part of the whole group. And he saw the problem, and he came back in about 3 or 4 days, and he came with a bag of clams. You know what clams, everybody know what clams are? He came with a bag of clams. And he said, why you? Yeah, right. You know, right? So she knows, this is, why have you come with a bag of clams? So he said, moment the clam sees any pollution in the sea level, at 20 ppm, it opens up. The mouth of the clam opens up. So what was a sensor developing problem? Just they had to sense when the clam opened its mouth up. So for $100,000, they just spent $1,000 to find a sensor that every time the clam opens up, is to sense that the clam opened up. So it's just different examples of innovation and everything else. I'm sorry?
The clam is not connected.
And they also said they had the clams for dinner. So that was the other thing. So why don't we start by 2 minutes introducing yourselves, what you do with your organization, what your role is. If you start, Corinne, please, and then we'll go around.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Corinne Jouanny. I have the chance to make the most exciting work of the earth, I think. I'm in charge about innovation. I'm Group Innovation Officer at Altran. And my role, I think, is to co-innovate. I prefer this definition. For me, it's a co. It's making it together. So I'm the one looking for the biologists that we may add to a team of scientists in order to solve a problem.
Thank you.
I'm Andre. I run a startup called Authentise. We build digital manufacturing software specifically for additive manufacturing for clients like Nike and Caterpillar. And I also run the digital manufacturing track at Singularity University. So we funded a lot of our initial startup expense, consulting and working with large companies through Singularity University. So I share both perspectives.
I'm Olivier Hersent. I'm the founder of Actility. What we do is try to connect everything. That's the overall ambition. And we're working towards some specific use cases of that connect everything concept around energy. We feel the transition towards clean electricity requires connectivity everywhere, and that's one of the things that we're doing every day.
And I'm Luc. I'm in charge within Orange Group of the innovation for product and services for the group. 30 countries on the retail market, mainly in Africa, Middle East, and Europe. And for B2B worldwide, I'm in charge of two innovation services. The one is the Technocentre. I would say it's a legacy factory for new product and services. And Orange Fab, which is an accelerator, worldwide accelerator, 15 points on 4 continents to accelerate startups, external I mean. And within Orange Fab, a program which name is Entrepreneur Studio, which accelerates internal startup building.
Thank you. So Luc, I will start with you. Why is co-innovation so important today? Why do you feel it is important? Was it there all the time, or how has it evolved? And why is it important in your industry today?
Because co-innovation is the new normal. I think definitely the power of the multitude, the number of developers outside the company, it's much stronger than the capabilities you have inside the company. So whether you cooperate with small, medium, or big, large companies, you definitely have to open your labs and to be efficient in doing so. I was really scared last year because I read in a survey that research and development, French research and development labs were based on open innovation only at 15% of the labs that were asked the question, do you practice open innovation? That's quite scary. And definitely our CEO, Stéphane Richard, is a champion around the open innovation. Actility is a good example of startup with which we have built a product together. And with medium and large companies also, we are on a daily basis working on co-innovation. So it's really something we do every day on every site.
So Andre, over to you. So Singularity University, right? It is very well known for funding and incubating startups and encouraging innovation. What is their philosophy? And how do you think it differs from accepted definitions of co-innovation?
So Singularity's strength is inspiration. So I don't think Singularity or anybody in this room has really cracked the nut on how to innovate successfully and reliably, more importantly, on large projects. So our bread and butter at Singularity is to understand or help executives understand the need for exponential transformation within their organization, and it's been very successful at that. But it does work with clients in a process of co-designing in short sprints and implementing in short sprints. So one of the projects we did with Lowe's, which is the largest, second largest home improvement store in the world, was to put 3D printing into their stores, and we did that within 3 months. And then it took us 6 months to get it past legal, so that's another issue. But that's the kind of thing that we do, and it's really its success lies partially in the fact that you're surrounded by an environment of people who really believe in change. I mean, the guy on the left of me in an office makes 3D printed leather and meat. The guy on the right of me makes the 3D printer that's on the space station. So everybody has massive transformational purposes. So you're surrounded by that, and that's very encouraging, and it's a self-selective group of people. And that's one of the things. The second is that it's on the outside. So Bayer or Lowe's or others the people that work on these projects, they're physically based on our campus at NASA Ames. And they work with us there. So they don't experience any of the antibodies that a large corporate culture would normally bring with them. So I think those are the two secrets, and it's not like they can't be replicated, except for the community that's built around the change that we are pursuing.
Thank you. So, we have a very interesting mix of the panel. We have 2 startups and 2 large organizations, so I think it is equally balanced. So, question for you, Olivier. You are from the energy and utility industry, what examples can you share with us of successful open innovation or co-innovation?
One of the things I'll give you two examples. One in telecoms and one
Sure.
in energy. You asked energy. We worked with a company, Veolia, to basically turn their water distribution network into a battery.
It's a water company, right?
It's a
water
company.
distribution. Right?
So you view all these pumps and pipes, and there are pumps and pipes, and they distribute water. Actually, this is a battery, because you can pump more water and put it in an elevated position, and this is pure energy. This is elevated water.
Potential.
So we managed to turn this into a battery, and today that battery is operated and helps stabilize the French grid, and then we did it with different companies. So that's really taking an external view from someone who knows nothing about water, but take a different view and innovate this way. The innovation, we did a similar innovation with Orange to turn all of their UPS systems, they have batteries everywhere, powering central offices, to turn this into stabilization energy for the French grid. And that's also a different view. Yes, it's a UPS, but you can use it differently. Last example, but I think Luc will elaborate on this, on rethinking completely wireless for objects. In France, this was a very, very bold move. It was actually amazing that a company as big as Orange embarked in this venture, which was really a venture at the time. But I will elaborate a bit on this as well.
So can you share a little more about the wireless project, or is it confidential?
Yeah, so the wireless, about 2-3 years ago, I think if we'd asked anyone in the room, is wireless done? It's done, right? We have a phone, it works, you get a better phone every year. It's done, it's boring. At that time, several people came up with the idea that it's not really done, because what's done is really communication for human beings. And yes, human beings are very important. But when you want to optimize and digitize the world, everyone working on big data, what is big data? Big data is a digital representation of the world. So you need to take the world, and the world is this wall, this chair, this everything, and you want to turn this digital. So you need all these things around us to transmit bytes. And that technology didn't exist at the time. You cannot put a mobile phone in everything around you. So that was the statement for the problem, and we built a solution together.
Excellent. So Corinne, what is Altran's philosophy of innovation? And then after that, you had a very good example of co-innovation with one of your partners. So if you can share both.
Yeah. A philosophy about co-innovation, I think it's creating value. Creating value for our clients, for our employees, etc. I think this is the main word. And about making co-innovation happen, it's a question of ecosystem. It was said in the keynotes by Paris and others. It's a question not only connecting the company to the other ecosystem, to startups, to SMEs, etc., but it's also connecting the internal ecosystem with, for example, with Altran, more than 15 geos, more than 100 expertise centers, all these characters that were described by Olivier, the one from the operation, from the marketing, from the expertise itself. So it's how you find the ways and means that will enable your internal ecosystem with very different people, with the external one, your client, your partners. And the recipes, and I will describe perhaps later what we have made with the Alliance for Open Innovation. The recipes, to me, is really being focused about co-innovating with our clients and for our clients. How will we serve agility, speed, creation of value at scale quite fast? And I will take one example to illustrate. It is an example that is called Coherence. Coherence is a middleware that was developed and that is co-developed today by Altran and Jaguar Land Rover in a co-innovation mode. How did it happen? In fact, inside our internal ecosystem, we made a call for ideas about what might be the disruptive technologies that must serve some client challenge or some company's challenge about the new mobility. on how to update the electronic and the electric architecture of a car in order to serve all the transformation of the automotive vehicle, etc. And one of the team in Sophia Antipolis submitted to the group one idea about what if we used the micro software architecture-oriented software, service-oriented architecture, sorry, I mix my word, into the world of the critical embedded software. And they did develop in an agile way a first prototype. Then you have a prototype. Do you develop it further alone? No. You go to your client telling, this is the value that we see in that breakthrough technology. What might be the value that we might develop together? What might be the interest? And it was Jaguar Land Rover who joined Altran to co-invest in different sprints about the development of this technology.
So Luc, question for you. So you're involved in one of the most well-known innovation labs. The Orange Lab is extremely well-known. Do you, from your perspective, do you see intellectual property being a challenge when it's co-innovated? Ultimately, it is all about business impact. And you have to create business for both your partner and yourself. Do you see this as a challenge as to who finally owns the intellectual property?
Yeah, of course, we have a strong IP activity to protect our finding and protect the future of the business. And it's really a challenge when you see the acquisition of the GAFAM. They are buying some big company only for the patents, in fact, because they are getting rid of the people after a few months. So it's definitely the proof that the IP has a huge value in the months and the years to come in the innovation challenge, and that is global competition, definitely. So we try to protect it worldwide, or at least in the main, I would say in the main market, America, Asia, and Europe, for example. Saying that, a good way to protect your idea is to execute it the fastest way. So if you're on the market before the competition, in fact, the first barrier is your ability to have traction and to get the market share that makes you some way a leader on the market. And that's a thing we do with small, nimble, and bright startups such as Actility. I have an example on the table. Don't know if I will have some time after, so I do it now. It's an advertising billboard, but in fact, it's not a commercial product yet, but it will be in a few weeks, and it works. This is a world premiere. It's a tracker that is accurate at the meter, indoor and outdoor. We did that with a small startup. We want to have a global reach with such a product.
Sorry, what is it? I didn't.
It's a tracker.
Oh, a tracker.
A tracker,
right,
that is accurate to the meter, indoor and outdoor. So you have 4 technologies in it: GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and LoRa. LPWA network IoT access. And this is a concentrate of design, innovation, made with a small company in which we have invested, by the way. And at the beginning, we worked with a smaller startup than Actility. Then Actility acquired the startup, so the big fish eating the little ones. And we made it very quickly. I think we made this service, in fact. It's a service because this is only the silicium and the plastic, but and the antennas, but there is a service on top of that. Within, I would say, something like 5 months, it was conceived and built. And after, it was really a fine-tuning process. And we have IPs on that example that are very precise because it's a premiere. And it was really exciting. A co-innovation, a patent history, going really fast to the market showing it as soon as possible, and trying to ramp up after you have a very good experience with, we made it live with 1,000 of employees, Orange employees, to keep it secret. And then now that is fine-tuned, and we had so many hurdles to make the experience and not the product and not the technology working, because the product and the technology were good, but the experience was crappy at the beginning, and now it's really good. I can tell you because I equipped the whole family and the main asset of the family, so I can track everything. Yeah, they are very happy. I don't have to call the police to find my children that are at their friend party, so it's very convenient, you know. It's an asset that is important in the family, the kids. So aside the joke, it was really a good example of showing the things very fast, having the patent, working with a small company that is really in the scale-up process, a pure scale-up process, because their story is just something amazing. And I think it's a really good example. The B2C and the B2B products are based on the same technology. So this is really what is our actuality at Orange Labs and Technocentre.
If I may, I think co-innovation, we talked about this amazing example about agility. The demo that you can see, not the demo, the prototypes that you can see as well outside of Airbus, it was something that was built in 5 months. Why? Because it's at the quality of your ecosystem and the way you can integrate on a platform the proposals that you have from startup coming with brand new technology, with brain control, with how to access to the data, what you connect from the internal ecosystem with some sensors that has been developed internally. And having the ability with this startup mode approach, telling we will integrate and look what might be the value of what we can integrate with the technologies that we have inside and the technologies that are promoted by the startup, allows to have in a very quick way, in fact, something to show and to demonstrate. This is a link with the panel that we had just before, arriving very soon with something that you can share, touch, discuss with your customer.
You wanted to make a point?
No, I was just
okay. Oh, okay. So, I'll come back to the panel and I'll start with Andre this time, but I'll take a quick question before that. That was a great example of a success, but we also learn from failures. So I'll start with you, Andre, and while he thinks through his answer, is there any questions? We'd love to take a question from the audience for the panel. Anybody? Okay. So
straight in.
Yeah, straight in. Yeah, and we'll go around with this because this is a very interesting question on, what have you really learned from fast failing?
One failure. So I typically think of companies going through a transformation purpose. For example, in additive manufacturing, which I know best, you start with identifying a problem that really is core to the business. So in manufacturing, the yield rate is low or something is happening. Right. And then you go and deploy the solution that you've identified in various ways throughout your business. But the exciting part is also greenfield opportunities or blue sky opportunities that arise out of your experience with this new technology. So for Lowe's, it was identifying that actually 3D printing isn't the value per se. The real value is in the 3D asset. So they sell 1 million SKUs. They want to have the 3D design, not only for 3D printing, but also for virtual reality, augmented reality, marketing, warehouse automation. Many reasons why they want the 3D asset. Right now, it takes 4 to 12 hours to to scan an object. So 4 to 12 hours times nearly 1 million objects is too much. So they tasked us as the persons working with them, can you do it in 4 minutes? We built a proposal.
So from 4 hours
to 4 minutes.
To 4 minutes.
Using technology developed by Fraunhofer. So we had the idea, we had the concept, and then it failed in contracting. You know, this is a...
It failed in contracting.
It failed in contracting because of the reasons that you mentioned. You know, who's going to own the IP? How are you going to deploy it? What is the purpose? I think there's many stories like that. And it was just sad. It was a waste of my time and a waste of everybody's time at the end of the day. And it was just because once, okay, there's a small project where you don't know what the market size is and you're just testing something out, nobody's risking anything. You know, this is co-innovation. But suddenly, you had an idea that was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And it wasn't clear exactly how and who should own this IP, and it was badly managed. So that was an example.
And it couldn't get resolved.
We decided not to pursue it. They may or may not be pursuing it with other people.
You fail definitely. That's our experience at Orange when you launch too soon, or when you launch with too many features. That was the case historically on our boxes. We launched boxes with too soon and with too many features. And in fact, the customers were debugging the product, and that's completely insane. So the last one, the Black Livebox 4, we tested it for 1 year of test with 5,000 employees. It was the first time, and when we launched, it was a good product. We had some backlog with minor bugs, you know, as usual, but no major bugs. And it was the first time in history we reached this level of quality, and for a box. And in fact, the competition did exactly the same. So when you bought a new box, it was completely a crappy experience. And then I think...
So what you're saying is it's better to make sure you launch a product that works. It doesn't... That's what you're saying.
Yes. Yes,
ultimately,
you can
that's the bottom line.
Yeah. And so you have to have really what is called the minimum viable product, which means, let's say, if it makes one thing good, it's excellent. This tracker has been tested for, I think, I would say 7 to 8 months before it's perfect. And if you make hardware, especially, the people here in the room that are designing hardware know that it's impossible to be perfect for the market day one. Completely impossible, or else you are a liar, sorry. But it's impossible. I made dozens of hardware now, right, for 5 years at the innovation, and I can tell you it's impossible to be good at the first day after the releasing. So it's really a test and fine-tuning of the experience, and you need designers to do that from day one. I mean, designer to design the experience, and then iteration with the customer to fine-tune it. At Orange, only in France, we have 50,000 real customers that signed a chart explaining they agree to test our prototype from the beginning to the delivery on the market. And with these guys, so we requested 48,000 of them last year. We are better doing that with all these feedbacks than without. That's for sure. It's very precious.
Olivier?
On failure?
Yes.
We actually started the whole company with a failure. My previous company was doing...
Your company still existed after that?
Yeah, and actually, you see, it's quite interesting. My previous company was doing voice over IP, all these boxes, right, triple play boxes. And when we created the new company, our core idea was you now have this CPU sitting in your home and basically doing nothing. When you don't watch TV and you don't phone, right, You still have a computer doing nothing. So the idea was, let's propose operators to have a marketplace where they can have external innovation, as opposed to have, let me have the best home automation, let me have the best alarms. We told operators, you don't really need to choose. You have a CPU, just like Apple has the iPhone, and let people upload software to your CPU and open a marketplace. And we built everything, from the firmware in the box, the marketplace, everything. And it failed. For some reason, the innovation
it didn't
process...
sell. When you say failed, what was your definition?
There was no adoption. Or rather, the adoption cycle had become very, very slow. Too slow for a startup. Exactly what we explained now. Modern operators now have such a big user base that from idea to accepting the idea, to doing a tender, to manufacture the idea, to market, you get a cycle that is too long for a startup to survive. You may have the best idea, but you're dead by the time it's coming to market. And actually, the automotive industry has the same problem. It's a very big startup killer because of that cycle. So we failed. And at that point, we came really by chance. I met an engineer who had just invented the very, very basics of this new radio technology. He was looking for money. I'm a business angel. I did not give him any money for that. It was a problem as well, because I should. But I had the idea that we could bypass the box. Because the idea was to communicate with all objects around us. And with this radio technology, we could actually bypass this painful box that we could not invade with our software. And we built around this idea, let's build a national network that just covers all objects without a need for any mediation. And that's the present Actility is doing just this. So it's a complete flip.
Right. So, anybody has any good examples of failures? It's always very interesting to talk about failures of innovation. Anybody? So everybody seems to be successful. Oh, we have one.
Can I just take this? Sorry. Because the other...
So, do you want me to continue or?
No, you asked the question.
I can't see him.
So, hello, this is Patrice Lubowski from Orange, working in Luc's team. And I'm not going to speak about one of our failures, but one failure which has inspired me. If you remember the Angry Birds game, yes. Who remembers, who has downloaded that? Yes. So one good thing is that it's not the first game produced by Roxio, it's their 50th game. The 49 first game they've produced were failures. So it's important to be resilient when you're doing innovation. This is a sentence from Luc.
So what he's saying is, please give him a budget. He will fail 49 times.
Next 50 are failures.
It took 6 years to Swatch to make it a success, and 12 years to Nespresso to make it a success. So definitely, I think you have to be resilient.
Okay.
And about failure and success, for one success story as this one, in fact, in the relationship between startups and large groups, you have 95% of the ideas that I can have when you met a wonderful startup that you would like to embark on your product, and that might answer to a key concern that you have seen the day before. And 94% of this startup large group relationship are failing because you are not at the right moment or for other reasons. And one of the things that we have built together at Altran, it was in 2014, we discussed with Central Supélec about what are the key success factors, how in high-tech might we make this kind of success story something that will be the mainstream in high-tech. And we created with them the Institute for Open Innovation, with other key founders, with Vinci, Société Générale, Mazars. And since that time, they have developed some accelerators systems, develop some training about learning to a large group people what is a startup, thinking in days, thinking in cash, thinking in different way than the large group, and also publishing some studies. There have been more than 14 acceleration programs that has been run. More than 50 startups that has developed some business and some common action with each of the members of that group. And the success rate about startup creating business, accelerating business with a large group is between 30 and 40% compared to the average, which is between 1 and 5%. So the idea is how to make it systemic. Last year, in fact, this proposal that we made with the Institute was transferred in something which is now the Alliance for Open Innovation. I know that a lot in this room have signed this adhesion to the Alliance for Open Innovation. So it's really a key topic that we have to continue to co-innovate together in order to make our ecosystem and the large group, SMEs, and startup ecosystem working.
Merci. So I have, if there are any questions, please put up your hand. But on startups, and I'm going to use this word versus, startups versus large, I know it's co-innovation. So the question is startups innovate faster than large corporations? Myth or a reality? I'll start with Olivier and then we go. So I'll repeat the question. Startups innovate faster than large corporations. Is it a myth or is it a reality? And we have a mixture of both. So yeah,
I think it's a matter of scale, of what you call innovation. Basically, if I rephrase what you just said, it would be commandos operate faster than armies. And it's right, but you can't use a commando to fight a big country. You need an army. So I think the economy is really transforming.
It's a very diplomatic answer, isn't it? Sitting next to Luc.
So I perhaps more profoundly, I think the economy is transforming into a project economy. So at least that's the way we drive innovation, because we also innovate with even smaller companies. We did this acquisition. I'm working with research teams in Russia. So every time there is an innovation, my consideration is what is the core? What do I want to keep for me? And usually it's some IP, some core knowledge of the master plan of it. The rest is project. The rest I don't need long term. The rest, if I need the absolute best mathematician in a certain optimization, I just hire that mathematician for the time of the project and then it's done. So I think inside any innovation, you have the sort of the general that stays, the army, and then smaller groups that do some parts of the innovation, and then perhaps a specific scientist that's doing a specific thing. And so it's a matter of scale. You get the slow innovation, which is for us the company, projects that are smaller teams, a bit more agile, all the way to someone that will do a specific thing for a day. And I think if you're Orange and you are the bigger scale, you get Orange with a certain rhythm, and then you co-innovate, you divide your innovation into smaller chunks and you innovate. So there is no definitive answer. It's a bit like a fractal, right? You get different scales and different speeds at the various scales.
So if I rephrase the question for you, Luc, in a different way, when do you decide you want to do it yourself versus you want to co-innovate? You have a choice.
That's really easy to answer this question, because I ask my teams, if you find it on the market, it's forbidden to reinvent it. The only option would be that the partner is awful. It's impossible to work with, or there are a team of lawyers. You can't sign a contract before seeing 70 people. But in general, we can go very fast, identifying by a benchmark. In fact, most of the work is to compare all the existing solutions on the market. No matter of the size of the company, and then being sure that if it's a very small company, if it collapses, we can reuse the code, for example, and handle the code by ourselves. So this is really the question. But it's mandatory within my teams, as a principle, not to reinvent something existing and doing well the work, the job on the market. So.
Right. So Andre, I'll come back to you on this, but just on the same question, but depending on how core it is to your business, you can decide to co-innovate, build, or even
not
do
really,
M&A.
not really.
Right?
That's a really good question, and my answer is not really. Even if it's core, for example, today we are accelerating in Orange Garden, which is the innovation campus in Châtillon. Mm-hmm. It's not in the region; it's in Paris region. It's accessible by the metro. We are accelerating with Facebook startups that are disrupting the network, the core network,
right.
Router, platforms, softwareization of the network capabilities. So it's really at heart of our historical competencies, expertise, and we do that even with a GAFA, which name is Facebook, and on topics that has really legacy for us. But definitely on the legacy, you can innovate so much because you pay a lot of money for things you don't want to touch. And right. In fact, if you look at it, there are huge amounts of optimization that are available. Just try to touch it, to reinvent it, to re-ask why are we doing like this for so many years. That's completely stupid. We can reinvent it full stack with new solutions that are open source, that are even on the hardware, on the software. It doesn't matter. So you really have to try to hack yourself because someone is already doing it. Try to hack yourself and put some of your commando inside commando to do that. Ask these guys, the more frustrated guys in your organization, ask them to hack your own organization, and you will probably save a lot of money.
Good. So, Andre? Go ahead.
I obviously think that startups run faster, and we outrun. There wouldn't be any point in our business if we didn't outrun everybody else, including other startups. But I mean, so to give you an example, the reason I do my business is because I ran a VC fund in Nigeria, and a plane crashed, and 160 people died because it takes a minimum of 3 days to get a spare part into the country. Supply chains are broken. We spend 16% of GDP on manufacturing stuff, 16% of GDP on supply chain, and it's all broken. So for me, that's the massive transformative purpose. And we expect by 2030, we'll be making about 10% of everything closer to the point of use on demand. So this is about $1.7 trillion worth of value that's transitioning. It's huge. No way a startup can do it. So I do everything I can to work with as many big companies as I can to bring them along because we can't do it ourselves. In this process, in the process of being a chair of manufacturing at Singularity, in the process of running a startup that partners with big companies, we've been able to create a joint mission of what, obviously I'm not doing that myself, but with other people, of what this massive transformative purpose for the whole industry is. And I think with a group of really talented, amazing people in this industry, we're defining what, for example, Industry 4.0 should mean, because nobody really knows, in manufacturing at least. We're that ability, that if you want to change something, and I think we're all in the game to change something big, then you need to work with big companies. There's no other way.
So we're almost out of time, but I'll go to my last question is, if for the audience you had to leave one thought on co-innovation, one simple thought at the end of the day, what would it be? Anybody can go first if that wants to go, and we can get Corinne if you want to start. Just one simple thought is for, you want to go back to your organization and you can execute it from tomorrow, something very simple. What would it be?
You have to communicate that you are ready to make it, I think. Very simple. Call for...
I'm sorry, communicate to?
that you are expecting, you are ready to make it,
Okay.
and propose.
Okay.
And I think
understand.
we have to propose and to provoke the chance. You know that in innovation, the main factor to succeed is chance. Not the chance that will happen, you don't know why, but the chance that you will provoke, that you will create. In fact, thanks to the team that you will assemble, to the meetings that you will done, the clients that you will meet, etc. So you have to create that, and you have to create this chance by looking at a huge problem that you might solve in your customer issue.
So you're saying you should take the chance. That's what you're saying. You should
create the chance.
create the chance. Okay, excellent. Andre.
My experience is that the most successful partnerships that we've done have shared a common vision of the future. So the massive transformative purpose is the same, and then everything else falls in line because both really want to do it, right? Yeah.
You're saying there should be a shared alignment of the vision. Of the vision. But what the vision is. Olivier?
So my take on this, I've been starting several startups, and every time I had successful experiences with large groups, and every time there was exactly the same ingredient. It's very easy to phrase. It's open innovation was serious. And serious means one thing. So for Orange or for Cisco Systems and other companies that we did very big things with, being serious in a group is only one thing, involve the customer. If you work with Cisco, and they don't involve their customers, or if you want with Orange and they don't involve their customers, they are not serious. You are part of the lab sphere.
So will you work,
and that
or
fails.
will you work, or will you refuse to work?
So we wouldn't do it. That's my
So
first test.
no.
When we have some initial engagement with a large group, usually it's through open innovation team, and there are really two types of open innovation teams in large group. There is the alibi of the CEO, like I do open innovation, I have a guy here. That's category 1, and that's probably 90% of open innovation departments. And category 2 is open innovation departments that actually work with customers. That's my first question. Is there a customer involved? If no, it's like, no, thank you. Yeah, we can shake hands, we can do like pitches together, but no, thank you.
So get the customer involved right up front. Look.
And in addition, I think it's a mindset problem. And it's a good way to improve internally at Orange to work with this kind of very bright companies, such as the very innovative and startups. Because if we don't have the right mindset and the right methodology, I mean lean startup, pitching, design thinking, UX, and so on, we can't work with them. And it's not the fault of the small company if we fail. It's, I would say, 99% our fault on Orange side, because we are not at the level expected by the small company. So definitely it's a way to improve internally for Orange to work with such company on very rigorous methodology that are state-of-the-art way to do innovation.
Excellent. So we have create a mindset with state-of-the-art methodology. Then we have, from Andre's side, have a shared vision. Make sure that you have a shared vision from Corinne's side. Create the chance. And last and not least, customer is most important. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the discussion.